people at the bottom compete, people at the top share. So basically it's this. When you are comfortable in your position, okay, you can absolutely share knowledge because it's not going to hurt you, okay? That client that is working with your colleague is not working with you anyway, so why not help?
You know, with Wood Floor Business Magazine and All Things Wood Floor podcast, I talk a lot about floor pros around the world. I get calls and emails and texts from Colombia, the Isle of Man, Sydney, Australia, Vancouver, British Columbia, Quebec, Montreal, LA, Boston, New York, Texas, Florida, DC, all over the world. In this episode, you're going to hear from João and Susy Diaz of Fino Oficio Floors. They're out of Lisbon, Portugal. Lisbon is their largest capital city. It's beautiful. It's home to some of the best beaches in Europe. But Fino and Susy, they're wood floor ambassadors. So it's all about the flooring today and how much we respect and appreciate each other around the world. We're 5,000 miles from the U.S. to Portugal, but we do still speak, as I say, the same floor language, and you're going to hear that today. Welcome, Susy and João Diaz, floor pros around the world. Let's get to it. All right, so Susy and João Diaz, Fino. I'm going to call you Fino.
Fino
Oficio. Welcome to All Things Wood Floor.
Thank you so much for having us. We are thrilled to be here.
Hey, last time, and by the way, I read your stuff because we both write for Wood Floor Business Magazine, and you'd mentioned about your accent when we spoke before. You talked about coming to the U.S. to go to the NWFA show and that. But, you know, your writing doesn't come off like that. Your writing is sharp as a tack. I've read everything you write. And are you particularly a writer from back and wherever, and you jumped into flooring, or is that just something you like to do?
No, basically so. Our normal school program actually puts Portuguese kids writing and speaking in English very, very soon. My daughter is a teenager and she speaks fluently and she writes also very well. She have a very spot on grammar with only 16 years of age. And my youngest on the writing still juggles a little bit, but he's only 12, so let's give him a break. But basically, it's the way the Portuguese system is set up. For us, English is super important. Don't forget that in Portugal, tourism is a very, very big deal. So it's very super important for us.
I have friends in Portugal right now.
Yeah, it's normal. And actually, the American market when it comes to tourism in Portugal is constantly growing, and we have a lot of friends from America that are actually establishing themselves here and living in here because for the majority of the American people that I know that are our customers or our friends, listen, Portugal is so different from America, okay? I'm not going to say the quality of life, okay, but the difference in the life habits you have, it's totally different.
How big is it? How big is Portugal?
Portugal is very small. We are only 10 million people. So It's very small, smaller than Texas, for instance.
Well, when you came here for NWFA, I know my sister lives in Switzerland, which is small. She's been there her whole life. They come here and people will say, well, we flew into Boston. Can we go see San Francisco? And then maybe Florida. It's big. A lot of Europe could fit inside the U.S. When you came here, did you just make it down to the NWFA thing in Florida? Or have you been here before, seen other things?
No, it was actually my first time in America, and it was a very, very long dream that I had to go to America and to spend some time there. I actually like America, and I like the majority of the American people that I was blessed to encounter in my life, and it was a dream come true, to be honest. I only went to NOLA. I've only been to with the guys from NWFA and. Because that was my end game, so to be with the wood floor people, you know.
You must have met a lot of those guys like I do online. They pop up everywhere, A lot of really super great guys, right? That's how I ran into you, and I think I talked to a few other guys, and they said, oh, you got to talk to Fino. And then I saw some of your work, which we're going to talk about. So you did get to New Orleans, and I remember I called you when you were down there. We were going to try to do a podcast, and what impressed me was how excited you were to come here and meet these other flooring people. Flooring is different here, and in some ways, maybe it's a little more of a commodity. I look at some of the work that you do and some of the work that's done in European countries. Even that's different. Like you mentioned something like there's not as much training, right?
Yeah, it's totally different. But again, for me, it was an amazing week, to be honest. I get to spend the majority of the time with Lenny Hall, which, as almost everyone knows, it's my brother from another mother,
right?
Basically, which is amazing because we knew from the start that we were going to be really close friends, really close friends, and we are much similar when it comes to work ethic and to the way we think about the work. But we are very different people. Okay, so I am that kind of guy that. I like to be. I like to make people laugh, So usually I'm the clown in the group, and Lenny's a much more soothe guy and much more, let's say, stable. Actually, Kim told me one thing. It was another thing that I was super excited about, and I was so happy to be able to be with Kim. Okay, to be with Kim
Walgren
and. Kim Walgren. Yeah.
Editor Wood for a Business, correct? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because Kim is actually the reason why people know us. Okay?
She's our band leader.
Yeah.
She waves the baton. They go, "Who's she?" She is the band leader.
Exactly, basically. And Kim actually brought us in to the wood floor business, basically, because of the way we glue down floors with the poles that a lot of people now are starting to use. And
that was you that started that.
Yeah,
I saw that. I go, why would I have my hands and knees for 3 decades? This guy's got a pole. That's a good idea, man.
Yeah, we basically we just wanted a way. I always found to use. We do a lot of pre-finished engineered floors. So, and as you know, at least for us, one of the major concerns that we have is we don't want to scratch the floor. Okay, when customers are meeting with me here in our warehouse, and I'm showcasing the floors that we have, they always make the same question: is it going to scratch? My answer is always the same: yes, in the first day, because this is the truth. Yeah. There is
absolutely right.
So what I say to them: yes, it's going to scratch, and many times we are in the process of applying the wood floor, and they come inside and they see that we are working either. Believe it or not, well, I hope OSHA is not listening to this, but when we are applying engineered wood floors, finished, pre-finished, we are either barefoot or with house slippers. Okay, we don't use our normal footwear inside. So because we really don't want to scratch the floor, and we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things that. We care about when applying a floor. We are always very concerned about everything around, so we don't make any kind of marking on the floor. And many times the client asks us, "But why are you guys with so much care if you already told us that the floor is going to scratch?" Because there is a big difference. If you scratch it, it's your floor, it's your house, it's your memories, okay? If I scratch it, it's a bad job from my side. So basically
it's a paycheck. Well, but you know what I'm going to do is I got you teed up for all this. So let's dial it back to the beginning. I want to ask you a couple questions about how you started. What do you have, an espresso there? You little demi-tasse? Look at you go. I'm sipping my coffee too. Here we go. You're at lunchtime though. It's breakfast on our side of the world. Go back to the name of your company and how you got that. Because I think then people know why they call you Fino.
Yeah. So basically, our company name it translates directly to fine craft. Okay. So the birth of our company is a little bit different than the majority of the examples that I know of throughout the world. So me and Susy, both of us, we had zero experience when it comes to wood floor. Zero experience. Our backgrounds are totally different, okay? And we actually entered this business in phases. So unfortunately, my mother died in January 2012. And my mother was taking care of my mother's side of the business, which was restoration of fine antique furniture. Okay, and that she inherited from my grandfather. Okay, and he was one of the great craftsmen we had in Portugal for decades and decades when it came to this type of work. Okay, so when my mother died, I was faced. I had my job. I work a 9-to-5 job in my suit. Okay, Susy was an accountant. Well, she still is, but she doesn't practice anymore. And the thing is, when my mother died, I was confronted with the fact that I had two masters that were still in my mother's company. Okay, that they had been with us for almost 50 years. Okay, so I remember since my birth to know those two guys. Okay, they started with my grandfather when they were very, very young. So when we had a family meeting between me, my father, and my brother, of course, my father and my brother, they just wanted to close down the shop. Okay, because, and I understand, it makes absolutely no sense. None of us had any idea about that kind of job itself and what would we do from there. But I just said to my father and to my brother that, listen, guys, I can't do it. It's going to be awful for those two guys. They never did anything else in their life. They are in a point of in an aging point that they cannot retire. Okay, they were not at the age of retirement, but they were on that age that you are already expendable. So nobody is going to hire you. Okay, the market, at least in Portuguese, the market for antique furniture restoration, it's very, very slow. Very, very slow. So my main focus was what is going to happen with these two guys, basically. So I asked my father. I actually worked in my father's company, and I asked for a leave of absence. Okay, and I told him, listen, give me 2 months away from the office. I will make sure to keep the shop going, at least only to pay the paychecks and the everything that there is to be paid. We don't need to have a profit. Okay, we just need to pay the bills. So give me 2 months. I will take care of it, and let's go, and we go from there. At the same time, okay, me and Susy, we were constructing our own house, which was the biggest jump in our life. And when it came to the application of the wood floor, since we have, and let's bear in mind that this was 2013 at the time, when it comes to radiant heating system, okay, it was a very, very unknown system in Portugal at the time. It was almost novelty, okay, and everybody that I contacted, from guys that now are my colleagues, of course, everybody that I contacted, nobody would install the wood floor on top of the radiant system. Nobody will do it. And I told Susy, listen, I'm not seeing any other way for us to pull this off. So let's do it ourselves. Let's see what we can do with this. We actually had one guy in our house working on an entire different set of labor. It was not a carpenter. It wasn't a floor guy, but he had a very, very rare skill set. He was that type of guy that loves construction and loves to do things the right way. And he had some lights when it came to wood floor application, and told us, listen, I will give you a hand. I will just explain to you how you do this and you do that, and we'll go from there. So we did that on the first day, and then we were all alone for, I don't know, 3 months, something like that. 3 months, sorry, it was mine. 3 months, something like that. And we were applying the wood floor ourselves, and it went perfectly.
What did that floor look like? What kind of floor? What was the setup?
It was a very, very normal pine wood floor, okay, the cheapest wood floor I could find, okay? Let's bear in mind, because this is super important, let's bear in mind that At the time, we had zero experience, okay, zero knowledge.
It's just
okay?
12 years ago.
This was 12 years ago, yeah. So zero knowledge, and we just went to our, let's say, Home Depot, okay? We bought the cheapest wood floor we could find, but it is a solid wood floor, okay? And we just installed it. If you go to our house these days, okay, the floor is absolutely pristine. It didn't move an inch.
What was the subfloor? Was it like a pine or a board?
It was our normal screed subfloor, cement.
Okay, gotcha.
So, because that was actually the problem. So the biggest problem we had was that nobody would glue down the floor. And this is why our company is, let's say, I think a lot of people recognize that we excel when it comes to glue downs, okay? And we do it because this was actually our starting point, you know? So while everybody else was just nailing in sleepers, okay, we were gluing. And to me, this is a personal opinion of mine, okay? To me, nothing beats well done glue down. To me, in my opinion.
Well, was the sleeper floating, or was the sleeper nailed, or was the sleeper glued?
We didn't use any sleepers at all. It was direct glue down.
So in that case, you went right. Oh, okay, good. All right.
Exactly.
Sure.
That was the problem. So my colleagues at the time, now there are a lot of teams gluing, of course, but at the time, nobody will do it. Nobody will do it. Nobody was comfortable doing it. No. It was crazy.
So did you go to your local, Home Depot and get some type of glue, or were you able to stumble across a good manufacturer's flooring glue, or you just something else?
No. That guy that was in our house working, he actually gave us a contact from a company specialized in wood floor supply. Not wood floor, the wood itself, but glues and lacquers, and they are also one of the Boner representatives in Portugal.
Oh, so they know their stuff. Okay.
Yeah, they know their stuff. And at the time, we glued our floor with a glue that doesn't exist anymore. It was the Sika 8080. Yeah. It was an amazing glue. Amazing glue.
Solvent heavy?
Not solvent. No solvent.
So was he? And so it must have traveled really nice.
Yeah, it did travel. Okay. Very, very nice. It was a very good glue. It was very expensive at the time, super expensive at the time. But listen, I'm not the one. It's what I say to my customers. I never go with the cheapest options. Okay, ever. So and I'm this way since the very beginning. So at the time I speak with the guys and I ask them, listen, guys, if this was your job, if this was your house, which glue would you use? And they all said this was the glue that we would use, but it's very expensive. So if you want, you have this one is cheaper, this one is cheaper. No, I don't want the cheap stuff. I just want that one. Okay. So and that was our starting of everything. And the big commotion in our life actually happened. And this is true. This is almost like a fairy tale story, but this is actually true. All the commotion in Susy's life and in my life started when we finished our own bedroom. So we started on the upstairs floors, and the first division that we end was our own bedroom, okay? And we were working 9 to 5, our normal jobs. So what we did at the time was we leave our daughter with the grandparents, and then we went there to apply the wood floor, okay? So we did this during night, of course. And on that day, it was like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, something like that. I remember that when we finished that room, I was so happy. I was so fulfilled. I never felt that in my life. So, and I remember like if it was yesterday, I entered to the car with Susy. We were both beat up, of course. And I told Susy, listen, this is what I want to do. So, there is no going back to the office anymore. Let's just do this for a living.
What did Susy say when you said, I'm going to be a floor pro? Or I'm going to be a floor... What do they call him over there? We say floor guy, and now it's become floor pro. What did you say? I want to hear this, and I want to hear what she said to you.
Yeah, well, what she said was very simple. Are you FP crazy? Basically.
Yep.
Basically. So this was her first initial thought on it. But listen, we are together. It's going to be 27 years.
And we're going to get there too, because she's a floor pro. She's a really good one too.
She's much better than me. I tell this to everybody. I have no problem about. I always speak the truth. Okay, yeah. I think Susy is one of the best floor pros I have ever seen work on a wood floor. To be honest, sure. She do things her way. Okay, she's not the fastest worker in the world. That's not our goal. So for me, it's the same. But the way she handles things, the way she come up with solutions for the problems that arise, the way her brain works, okay, when it comes to mathematics, because she comes from mathematics, okay, so she have a very different mindset when it comes to laying wood floor, taking measurements, much better than me, for sure. I can do it, don't get me wrong. I can do everything, but she just does it better or easier, let's say. And what we do in Fino constantly is that, and we do this with our entire team, we just try to extract the best in each person, okay? So that's our focus.
That's smart. That's a lot of, we're talking construction here. I now am not retired. I'm doing my own thing. I was a distributor for 40 years. Some of my weeks, I had my old customers will call and say, will you just go set this up? I do the math, I do the layup, I set the lines, I set the splines. And like you're saying with Susy, I think, and people will call me and say, will you line my gymnasium? They're afraid of the math. They're afraid to be wrong. They're afraid to not be straight. I love it. That I never thought, when my teacher said, pay attention in geometry, I thought, why? And I use it for flooring. Why? Well, it turned into something. One thing, when we talked, and I said to Kim Walgren at Wood Floor Business, this is great. I got to talk to Fino again. Because you know what? You've only been doing this 12 years. People will tell me, 30, 40, I've been doing. You are that person that I knew. This kid, we took him to the dump one day, and he saw somebody threw away a keyboard. This kid picked it up, took it home, and 2 hours later, my daughter sent me a video. She said, look, he's playing Mozart. You and Susy picked this up like you were meant to pick this up. If you go to Wood Floor Business Magazine, you look at your photos, you look at your work, you look at your videos, I swear you've been doing this since you were born. The quality, the level of what you do is amazing. And that it became part of this really blows me away, because she is good. She's really good.
She's very good. She's actually very good.
But there's not a lot of training. Like, isn't Bona trained in Madrid? But I don't know of any specific training in like Portugal or...
Zero.
Yeah,
Zero. I talked about this in NOLA with some of the guys.
In NOLA, okay.
And I really do. What I always I always speak the truth, and I always speak what I mean. Okay, what I feel. I'm going to tell you something, guys. You guys in America, you are absolutely blessed, and you just don't know how blessed you are. To be honest, I cannot wrap my brain around the fact that you actually have, let's say, not bad, but not up to par wood floor pros, okay? The amount of information you have, like one phone call away, one email away, okay?
One click of a mouse away.
Yeah, it's crazy. You go to the NWFA, you go to their websites, you see the regulations, you see everything, okay? I know a lot of them personally. Listen, for instance, you have Lenny is Lenny. So Lenny is that guy that I just know if anybody calls him, he's going
Lenny
to
Hall.
help. He's going to help. The same with me, okay? I received a staggering amount of contacts from the USA, okay? From guys asking me help, usually with sending sequences. Because of the Fino flat and everything. And I just help out. I just want to help out as much as I can, because we cannot forget that Susy and me, we weren't born in this. So we have help also, and we continue to have help, okay? So, and this is super important. The sharing of knowledge is something that, in my opinion, it will never turn bad on you. So if a colleague in Portugal asks for my help, I will help him. I never see competition. You see, I'm that type of guy. I actually saw on Facebook, I don't know who it was, somebody posted a quote that I really, really identified, which is people at the bottom compete, people at the top share. So basically, it's this: when you are comfortable in your position, okay, you can absolutely share knowledge because it's not going to hurt you, okay? That client that is working with your colleague is not working with you anyway, so why not help? You see what I'm getting?
Where I train my salespeople, they'd say, well, they would either say, I don't know enough about flooring, or they would know everything. We'd bring them in from the field, and I'd say, either one works, because if you don't know a lot about flooring, our customers do. They're so happy to share with you. And if you know a lot, maybe they can use the information that you have. But you're absolutely right. It's not lonely at the top. It's crowded at the bottom. When you're in a position like yours, share the knowledge. One, if you forget it all, just be helpful. You and I were talking about this when you were in New Orleans. If you forget it all, just remember to be helpful. Like, that's what you do. That's what Susy does. If you look at the articles that you've written and the stuff that you have online, boy, it comes through really clear. I think that's why you've gotten so advanced so quickly with what you do. Because, listen, if you teach somebody to play a musical instrument, you only get better 10 times faster. You're sharing it as fast as you are absorbing it. It's just impressive. Now, tell me a little bit about is it the Workcamp Parkett? Because I think Workcamp you did for what, 2018, 19, 20? How long have you been doing that? Explain Workcamp, because a lot of people do not know what that is.
So Workcamp basically is a gathering of some of the best wood floor pros in the world, usually Europeans. And we are blessed since 2019 to have Lenny with us. And Lenny was an amazing addition. Just like Greggles from Australia. Yeah. We also had Josh Lemmy last year, also from Australia. But it is a gathering. And it's probably one of the reasons that we evolved so fast. So I already write about this in an article for Wood for Business, but I think we learn more in 7 days at WordCamp than 1 year working solo in Portugal.
Does it move around? I know it was in Holland and then I think in York, and then the Czech Republic, right?
Yeah. Does it move around? Was in Czech. Yeah, we move around. So the first one was in Czech Republic, we weren't there. The second one was in Germany, we weren't there.
Hungary,
because we couldn't make it. But the third one, and we have been in all of them since then. The third was in the Netherlands, the fourth in Poland, the fifth in Belgium, and the sixth in Hungary. And between that, there was during COVID one in Czech Republic that unfortunately we couldn't go because we couldn't travel because of COVID. And they also did, I believe, 2 presents in Domotex in Germany. But listen, it's an amazing thing to be able to restore historical parquets. It's something that it's not common, as you know. So especially for the American guys, let's face it, your country is not that old, so you don't get to spend a lot of time hanging around 300, 400, 500 years old parquets.
They're all in Rhode Island, 200-year-old mansions that were copied from Europe. They're the only place you'll find floors like yours.
Exactly.
Who's Renee Karen?
Renee Karen is a parquet master restorator and applicates a master. It's an amazing.
You wrote about him in Wood Floor Business.
And he's actually the face in front, along with Michaela, the face of Workcamp Parkett, and they had this idea back in 2016 to do this gathering, and it's unbelievable. We are always working in very, very special places.
Where was Bishop's Palace? I saw you wrote something about Bishop's Palace.
Yeah, that was last year in Hungary. And can you imagine? Just try to imagine this. You are working on a parquet that was actually destroyed during Second World War, and you are doing an historic recreation, because we actually had to handmade the panels, okay, the same panels that they had on the roof of the living quarters that weren't destroyed, but we restored also everything. But the feeling of doing something like that, the feeling of leaving your imprint in something like that, something that had such a negative vibe, you know, because it was destroyed on the worst war ever, okay, and then suddenly 9 days later it's born again, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So it's just crazy for you to be able to tell to your children, daddy and mommy did that, you know. Helped. Of course, we didn't do it alone, but helped. They were a part of this project. Okay, it's just crazy.
How did you get from when you said, "Hey, Susy, I'm going to do flooring"? What happened between there and at some point you must have got were you using hand sanders? Like, when did you get equipment and say, "Hey, like, come on"? You had to get your first, big machine and say, "This is a whole different ballgame."
Yeah. So basically, I started this alone. Susy was still working her job because we needed at least one paycheck. Okay, we needed to buy food. So Susy is laughing, but it wasn't easy at the time. So what we did was I started this alone. I tried to get some jobs, of course, and Susy usually helped me every day. As soon as she left the office at 5, she was usually helping me until 10, 11, midnight, okay, on the job site. Doing sanding. And at the time, we didn't have any big sander, anything. We didn't have any tools. We had the first sander I ever bought was the Festool Rotex, the 150. And believe it or not, I know this is almost unbelievable, but believe it or not, I spent more or less 1 year sanding wood floors on my hands and knees with the Rotex.
So did I.
Until I have money enough to buy the first big machine. So
I spent the year with a clapboard sander. I took it apart and
you see, you get me.
Yeah, my mother-in-law would say, show everybody the house. We had a farmhouse. And then when I got to be a pretty good floor person, I would say, don't let anybody see these floors. There's marks and it grinding. Oh, it's terrible. And Susy, by the way, I promised Fino there would be no math on the podcast, so you're safe. Although, is she still measuring out there in square meters or square yards?
No, she measures always in square meters.
Square meters. Okay, that's basically what it's about.
Imperial.
3-point-something square feet. Okay, so
we don't use imperial. We only use metric.
I gotcha. Okay,
that's actually my.
Do you
biggest,
build them in metric too? Is that how that works, or no?
Yeah, basically. Always in metric.
So when you did that, so you finally got your equipment. How long just go back a minute. How long did it take you to do that first one you did? How big was that first floor that you did, the pine one, like 1,000 feet or something?
It was roughly, I will do it in square feet. It's easier for you guys. It was roughly 1,400 square feet.
Okay.
And it took me like 1.5 months, something like that.
Wow. What is? Yeah. Well, okay, so I got you. What's that, like 100 square meters or something?
It is roughly 130 square meters.
Wow! And then, so you got that done. You got and Susy helped you with that, and then you did your own. Yeah. Is your own your own?
No, our own was actually much before. So there is a gigantic time lapse that you didn't get. Yeah. There is a gigantic time lapse between applying our floor and fell in love with the trade and actually starting to work the trade. So our first official job for a client was actually in January 2015. Okay? That was our first official job for a client.
Right.
January 2015. And since then, we never stopped. So we just made 10 years in the business.
Hey, Wood Floor Pros, this is Kim Walgren, the longtime editor of Wood Floor Business. On this episode of All Things Wood Floor, we're talking with wood floor pros who are extraordinary. Do you know a wood floor pro you think is extraordinary and deserves to be recognized as the next wood floor business ultimate wood floor guy or gal? They don't have to have won multiple design awards or do the biggest or the highest profile jobs, but they do have to be deserving because of how they put in the work every day on the job site. You can nominate yourself, a loved one, a colleague, or a friend. We will profile them in the magazine, and they win a trip to Lagler's fly-in sand training in Germany. I can tell you from firsthand experience that is an amazing trip. Go to woodfloorbusiness.com to find out how to enter. Be sure to be as complete and convincing as possible with your entry. Now let's get back to Stephen's conversation with the pros from Portugal's Fino Oficio.
People that are listening to the podcast, go to Wood Floor Business, look at the photos. You're going to make a lot of people sick because a lot of us will never get that type of... I'm here in New England. Like you said, we got off the boat. Pilgrims were here. It's a couple hundred years ago. It's pretty modern, basically. No, we don't have a lot of really great-looking, crafty, Palace of Versailles type flooring. And we would kill to have stuff like that. But the floors that you did work on are absolutely beautiful. And to jump into it as quick as I have, it has to be a calling. My grandfather was a furniture maker. Like you said, he would go out with furniture companies and he would say, I like this, I like that. They would buy it. He would restore it. He would make a Queen Anne sofa, take it out back and shoot it with birdshot, fill it with coffee grinds and stain it, and it would look like it was 300 years old. You bring that different level to it. When you did that, the floor in Hungary recently, which you can look at online, it said Bishop's Palace. Was there a bishop? Was it for an actual bishop?
No, there wasn't. The bishop was actually with us, and we also left the time capsule on the floor that was actually applied on the floor by the bishop himself.
Okay.
He was with us.
What did he think of your work? They must have loved it.
They loved it, of course. They were actually very emotional because, again, you are basically bringing back to life something that had a really, really bad vibe about it, because it's impossible not to look at something that it is damaged, and you know why it is damaged. Okay, so
war. Yeah.
And the work itself was amazing, and I loved every minute of it, just like I love all of them. But to take you back, because I'm going to. A lot of our friends in America actually say the same. That how can you guys be that good only with 10 years? And first of all. I think that the biggest difference, and I really do feel this, the biggest difference, and that separates us from a lot of people is that we didn't inherit the business. Okay, my father wasn't at the business. Nobody, I didn't get pointers from anybody, and what actually helped us, and I know this for a fact, what actually helped us a lot is that both me and Susy are very, very adamant about doing things the right way, okay? And we are, especially me, I'm very picky. I'm super picky. I am that type of guy that, just like Lenny, again, it's almost like an OCD thing. If something is feeling out of place, I have to change it. I don't care how much it costs, okay? And this is, to me, the biggest thing is that we didn't have any experience. So we didn't have any shortcuts, okay? So we just started dealing the best way we could with the works that we were doing. Okay, and this is why we come up with the poles for the glue downs. This is why we started to use straps when nobody else was using them in Portugal, at least. And this is why, for instance, we still do this, and we will do this always. A lot of our clients say to us that our floors, when they are applied, they look at them and they just feel different. They don't know why, but the floors look different, and I'm going to tell you why the floor look different. The BAB of the wood floor, so no H's, no staircases, okay, basically, no joints together, blah blah blah. So Fino always applies the floors the same way. We apply them twice. First, we dry rehearse everything, and this is so important, you cannot believe. So the thing is, it's a waste of time. Yes, you are wasting a lot of time. But for me, it's never a waste of time if the end result is better, okay? And if the client is able or willing to pay for this kind of work, okay? This kind of specific work. So why do I say this is super important? There are so many times, Stephen, that I come back up from my knees, okay? I look at the dry rehearsal. Susy's looking at the dry rehearsal. Our guys are looking at the dry rehearsal, and they are saying, that board doesn't look nice in there. Let's change it. I don't like the way the light hit it. I don't like the grain. I don't like the color, okay? And this is super important. And if we had grown up in the wood floor business, doing things like, I hope people don't get me wrong, but doing things like my father was doing 30, 40 years ago, because that is the way to do it. If you are only inclined to do the work that way because somebody taught you to do that way, and you don't try to open your horizons to see if there is a better way to do it, okay? I'm not saying a better way when it comes to let's see if I can do this to earn more money, okay? And this is also one of our secrets. We never did that. I never, ever did a job thinking about the money, okay? The money is super important. We need money. You need money. Everybody needs money, okay? But if you work your business in a way that you just want to do and to present the best result possible to your client, okay? Just like if it was your own house, okay? The money will appear anyway, okay? Because you can quote your time, you can extract more value from your time, okay? Because you can show to your clients that, listen, this is the results we present, this is Fino. If you like it, this is what you get working with us, okay? And you can actually try to extract more value of your time. Because at the end, Stephen, this is what we change for. We change our money, our clients' money, for our time. It's our time away from our families. It's our time that we are not at the beach drinking beer. It's our time that we are not, me and Susy, in some place having a romantic dinner. You see what I'm getting? So This is the exchange. They give me money, I give them time and the best of my ability, okay? And this is actually what I always felt. It was super important not to have those kinds of shackles, that I'm going to do this thing this way because somebody that is doing that way for 30 years is telling me that this is the way to do it, okay? We didn't have that. And I think it helped. It helped a lot.
You know what? Let me, can I dust over 3 floors that you've done real quick? Because I think what would be good is with people listening to the podcast, go back to Wood Floor Business and look at your work, look at your writing. It's real easy. You go to the search bar there and you put Fino. Your stuff comes up everywhere. But there's 3 that I particularly like because, you and Susy got awards for these. Again, 2020 Wood Floor Business gave you I think it's Reader's Choice. Was that the Hyperdrive floor?
It was the Hyperdrive.
People look up the Hyperdrive floor. Can I guess why I think you call it that?
You can.
When I look at that floor, it almost reminds me of Star Wars when they say, hit the hyperdrive, and poof, all you see is just the streak across the screen. How many species I'm seeing Wenge, I'm seeing acacia. There's a species of wood on that floor. 6. Wow. 6. How big are those pieces for people that are looking? They're basically hand-laid, thin little ribbon pieces that aren't very long. Like you dumped a box of straws out, piece after piece after piece after piece after piece.
Yeah. So the Hyperdrive actually, it's a crazy story. First of all, I don't recommend anyone. Susy's laughing already.
I hear her.
I don't recommend anyone to even try to do that.
Let me interrupt you, Susy. Give me the math on this. How many pieces of wood are in that floor?
Oh, I can tell you. I know from heart.
Okay.
I know from heart.
How many?
18,000.
It looks like there's more than that. It's like there's 100,000 pieces of wood in that floor.
No, I think it's 18,000, I believe. Susy's doing the math now.
That's why I asked her. That's her gift.
But I think it's roughly 18,000. It was around 70 metros quadrados, 30. She's doing the math.
It took you what? How long did it take to do that floor?
Oh, listen, I'm going to tell you and you are not going to believe it.
Okay, tell me all about it.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you. So this floor, just for people to try to understand why I'm saying not, and I'm kidding, of course, please go ahead with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, guys, I can tell you this from the bottom of my heart. Both me and Susy actually cried during that work. It was excruciating. not only physically, okay, but psychologically. You can. Oh, sorry, 60,000.
There
pieces.
you go. Okay,
60,000.
It looks like that to me.
A little bit more, 60,000.
I'm going to go with 85, but you're just
68,
a lot of pieces.
Yeah, 68,000. That's why I had the 18.
Okay.
68,000 pieces. So the thing is, first off, we work everywhere in Portugal, okay?
Sure.
So sometimes we are away from our family for periods of time, okay? But at the time specifically, we were working alone. It was only me and Susy, no team involved. And that project was far away from our house. So we were away from our children and away from our family. And the project took us exactly 2 months and 4 days to complete. Wow. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. You cannot believe how freaking difficult it is to apply that wood floor. Because we were working, just for you to know, our time schedule, okay? And we did this for 2 months and 4 days. We started to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. We interrupted for lunch always at 1 p.m., come back at 2 p.m., work until 9 p.m., go to dinner, and come back at 10 until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning every day, okay? Wow. The maximum amount of wood floor we were able to apply in 1 day without stopping, the maximum amount of wood floor was 80 square feet.
So you're doing like a 1 foot strip, because that's a long room, like a 1 foot by the length of the room.
Wow. It had 18.7 meters long.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Yep. And the strips are 30 centimeters. But this is a podcast. I'm going to.
It's about a foot by 100 feet. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, but big. I'm going to try to give to you in square feet for all the people listening understand. Sure. It was 30 centimeters by 1 centimeter by 2 centimeters thickness. So it was. Please make the conversion from metric to imperial. The length of the strips on at the upper drive, please. It was just insane. We were gluing and we were and you get up like after 8 hours of work and nothing was done. You look at that and nothing was done. It was just completely ludicrous. And I had the idea for the hyperdrive. It was actually an amazing idea that I had. And I can say this humbly because it wasn't my idea. It was actually some kind of divine intervention. So sure. Those strips are taken out from mosaic parquet, okay?
Yes. Okay.
Industrial mosaic parquet, okay? And usually it's a mosaic. So you have the pieces with you have a piece of mosaic. All those strips, they are tied with a with a cord, okay? And you apply them in sections like if it was mosaic, basically, okay? And I was arriving to our warehouse where I'm standing now, and I was arriving to our warehouse with some samples from a new supplier that we had at the time, and it was raining cats and dogs, like raining, you cannot believe. Insanely. It was insane, the amount of rain that was coming down. And I exit the truck. I didn't want to wait because it was already nighttime and I wanted to go home. And I take the bundles and I was walking with the bundles and I slip in a piece of oil that was outside our warehouse, car oil that with the water, as you can imagine, it was amazing. So I just slipped and fell. When I fell, the bundles, they broke and all the strips scattered around on the floor. And when I of course, I picked myself up and I look at the floor and I was like, this is interesting. This is a nice pattern. This is different. So, and I told Susan, listen, why don't we just break the chords and we start mixing all this and to see what we do? And she immediately said to me, you are crazy. And I said, well, listen, you already know that. So
right, you already know. Tell me something I don't know.
So Susy did the math. So the width was 0.39 inches.
Okay, so it's like half an inch.
Yeah, and the length is 11.81.
Less than a foot. These are little pickup sticks.
Very little, yeah.
And probably around 3/4 of an inch high. And then you set them in glue, and you must clamp them or press them or tape them or put them.
We actually had to come up with a way of making them stay in place that we wanted. And the way we did that was, because they are so thin, they don't have a lot of movement, okay? The way that we did it was we laid straight, okay, a line of 7, 8 in a row, okay, always alternated, of course. And then we pick up one of the sticks and we put it horizontally, pressing against the row that we were doing, and just glue it with tape. And it worked. It worked very, very well.
You must have been so excited when it was done to sand it.
When it was done, I was over the moon.
Yeah.
I was over the moon. Believe me, it was like, I don't know, but it was the best feeling on earth to be able to deliver that job ready. It was for me. It was by far one of the highlights of my career. Yeah.
So you've got Wenge, Acacia. What is it? Probably
Iroko,
Jatoba, Sucupira.
And Afzelia.
They all of them look to be hard. Were there any softies in there? Like,
They are all different. Very different.
Yeah, there's no larch or anything. Yeah, no, that's a. Whew. Hey, how did you get that material? Like, where did you get that material? Like, we don't. I couldn't go to my distributor and get that.
Well, we have a lot of suppliers in Portugal. That's one of the
Was that considered flooring or was that considered lumber?
No, this is flooring.
That's considered flooring. Okay.
Yeah, this is flooring. Yes, this is one of the flooring.
People need to go online and see this because you're not going to believe it. But you wouldn't.
Yeah, no, this is flooring. Yeah,
it's like a box of children's toys spilled out. You put them together. Do you have any video or photos of sanding that? I'd love to see that.
Oh yeah, I have a lot. I can send you a ton of them.
Let's put it online. I love it.
Yeah, I can send you a ton.
So you do the hyperdrive floor, but I think it was it. Now I have a question about this. So about 2 years later, I know in wood floor business we gave you the another Reader's Choice Award, and I think it was a Siberian larch and purple heart.
It was.
And I remember I asked you about that in New Orleans because my big question for you, because the floor is gorgeous, is how did you get the purple heart to stay purple and not turn brown?
Yeah. Well, we did a lot of testing with it, okay? And believe it or not, we just understood that if we did our normal raw look finish with the water base that we always use, it doesn't change the color at all.
And those were I won't call them strips, but those are all individual board lengths, like
they were
full length pieces boxed in. The purple heart looks amazing, but when you're wrapping it in larch, and for people in the U.S. that maybe don't see a lot of Siberian larch, looks a heck of a lot like a really pretty heart pine. It is. Siberian larch, basically, in Portugal, it's what we call, it's that expensive cousin that you have. Yes. It's your normal pine expensive cousin, basically. Gotcha. It's a different grain. It's also a little bit dense than pine, okay? Although it's also a very soft wood, of course. But it's a fancy pine, let's call it, okay? Very used in Portugal. Very, very used in Portugal. Is there a similar chemistry problem like we have with heart pine? Is it resinous or is it easy to coat? It is. It is. So you got to watch your temperatures and everything. Yeah. It is. Depends on the selection that you make. Okay. That one specifically, it didn't have any kind of resin because it didn't have any kind of nuts. It was a very, very, very selected larch. Did you do that on site or did you pre-build that one? No, the panels were pre-built. Oh, cool. Except the gigantic panel that was all done by Susy on the job site. The biggest one. Did you guys work with an architect or you just designed it yourself? No. This was an architect that designed it, okay? And we just brought to life what he designed, so... And it was really, really, but believe it or not, the difficult part of that job was to make the application with the big ceramic mosaics, because that thing is faz isto com 2,20 m.
That thing was 1.20 meters by 1.20 meters. The mosaics, so they were very big, they were very heavy, and they had to be glued down like a normal mosaic with the.
Is that about so 450 meters, inches, 450 square meters?
47 inches by 47 inches each. So they are big. And to sand around that without damaging the mosaic, that it was freakingly expensive, it was a bit of a struggle, to be honest. But
let me ask you, but when you're, because the Purple Heart is so purple and the field that's wrapped around it is blonde, when you're sanding, will that Purple Heart dust get into the blonde part of the wood? Because I have that problem with gymnasiums. If I paint the key, that blue paint gets into the lines. I didn't even think about that. How'd you keep that clean?
We did things very, very, very smoothly, no rush at all, and we were permanently using the DCS vacuums from Bona, cleaning the filters and everything, and we had zero issues with that. Zero issues.
Is that Purple Heart today? Is that, I don't know how old, so the floor is probably 4 years or 2 years old. Is the Purple Heart still purple, or did it turn? Sometimes it turns brown.
As far as I understood, it's not as purple as it was, okay, but it's still purple.
Still purple.
It's not brown.
Okay.
Yeah, still purple, as far as I understood. But again, the most challenging part of that job, and we had the exact same challenge on this year Wood Floor Award, was the difference in strength between the Purple Heart and the larch, which is a very soft wood. So to be able to get that Fino flat all around that, and that living room is really, really big. It's the living room alone, it's 1,280 square feet. So it's very, very big. And to be able to sand that to perfection the way we did, without over sanding the larch, it was really, really difficult. Really, really difficult.
I'm measuring. For all those that will follow at home, I think it's like 3.29 times this will get your square feet to your yards. And think about it. You're only a few years out of the gate, and you've got Award 1, Award 2, which brings me to this year. You and I talked a little bit about this. You got the Craftsman across the globe. I think Wood Floor Business. You got the Design Award in 2024 already for Best Residential. Was that in Portugal? Is that
it is in Portugal. All our
Lisbon?
Works are in Portugal except the work we do for at Workcamp Parkett.
Was that the eucalyptus burl root?
It was.
So if you're looking online, he has a eucalyptus burl root, which basically looks like somebody took a cross section of an entire trunk of a tree with the burl and the knots and everything, and then you weaved your floor around it. And I'm seeing a lot of flex, so there's a lot of quartered there. But I remember you saying to me the job was done. Tell me if I'm wrong. And all your guys were ready, and you're getting set to go. And you looked at it, and you said, "I got to torch this thing." Tell me about that, because your guys must be like, "Come on!"
Susie's laughing again.
We're done.
Susie's laughing again.
I love you, Susie. I know you're over there. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Susie's laughing again.
Susie, they wanted to strangle him, didn't they?
Yeah. So the thing was, Susy and one of our guys they had everything ready to start making the finishing, the oil finish, and I just screamed from the other side of the house and told them to just stop what you're doing, because I need to try something. And I very distinctively remember to hear my guy. Is actually one of our team leaders. My guy saying to Susy, "What the hell is he thinking now? For the love of God, we are not going to finish this project ever." And I just told them, "Guys, I have to try something." And Susy was really, she was, "No, don't do it, please. There's no need to do it. The floor looks amazing."
I would have said the same thing, Susy. Here it comes. Wait for it.
Yeah. So, but listen. As soon as that torch touch that lacewood,
you what in your head said, hold on, I want to torch. I want to burn this wood. For people that can't hear this, he's going to torch this floor. There's a name for it. Like it's Shosugiban or whatever it is.
It's Shosugiban.
Shosugiban.
It's a Japanese
How
technique.
did you come up with this at the last moment? Because, by the way, look at the photos. It looks so cool. Who knew that lacewood, fleck would pop like that? So how did that happen?
I really wanted to showcase the leopard print of the lacewood, okay? But I didn't want to use a stain, Everybody uses stains. And I really didn't want to use a stain. I wanted the process to be natural, okay? I wanted to have the raw beauty of the wood itself. And I think you know this, a lot of guys do at least. When we do special projects like this one, we always at customer request, okay, we stamp the floor with our logo.
Sure, good.
And a lot of people, almost all of our customers ask us to do this, but we only do it in very special projects, as you can imagine, because if not, it will be a normal thing, okay? And this is not a normal thing. So if you have a wood floor stamped by us, it's because that project it have something special, okay? And this was the case. When I stamped our logo on the floor, and I saw it burn, I just tried to imagine how it would look on the lacewood. And this is why I told them to just stop to the finishing process. Don't turn on the machines. Don't mix the oil. I need to try this. So I just pick up the torch and I just went bananas on it. And I was so excited. It was looking
I saw the
cool,
video.
cool.
For people that watch that video, the lacewood's beautiful as it is. He starts lightly torching it, and all the fleck, which is very uniform in lacewood, it's popping. It looks like leopard skin.
It is. That was my goal. That was my goal. I wanted that leopard print, that animal print, to pop up. And I managed to do it. But no,
I saw this. You had this little tiny pastry torch or whatever. How long did it take you? How big was that floor? How long did it take you to do that?
Oh, it wasn't
Susie's
that
laughing because she knows it was
insane.
insane, but it looks so good.
No, it wasn't that much. It was,
I
don't know, 3-4 hours, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but well, I had to do it twice, so it was, let's say a day's work. But listen, again,
Did you send everybody home, or did they watch you?
No, of course not. Everybody.
Of course.
Every time I have these kind of ideas, I always feel like the monkeys in the zoo. Everybody stops doing everything and they just are standing there looking at me. But one thing I have to say, my team leader, as soon as I started to burn the lacewood, he was like,
keep going,
freaking hell.
Yeah,
he done it again. So. It is. Listen, it's the small things. It's these little things. It's these little crazy things that sometimes you. Well, a lot of people ask me why did I do that, and I always say this, and I know. Well, Susy's saying that's because I'm crazy, but that's not the truth.
We're going to talk to her next. Don't you worry.
Yeah. The truth is that I did that because I can do it. So. I had more or less of a carte blanche from the homeowner, okay? And I actually have an amazing story about this. So the client actually walked through the door as I was torching the floor. And he just looked at me, and he saw me torching the place, and he said to me, do you know what's funny? Is that I don't even find this strange anymore. So just... keep on going.
Yeah.
Go crazy with it.
Just burn,
Bye-bye.
baby, burn.
And you went off. Yeah, you are burning my floor, so it's normal. Everything is good. But this is the thing. When I arrived in a point in my career that many times we actually have, we always have, but in these particular cases, it's super important to know that your client 110% believes in you, okay? Listen, you are doing something so so different. Okay, it's so personal. And this floor, for me, it has a very, very personal touch. And I'm going to tell you first-handed, because nobody knows about this, but I'm going to tell you first-handed why. It was the only floor in Fino entire history, okay, that it was 100% thought by me. Okay, Susy had no part in it. She just did what my brain, I speak, she does. So it's amazing. So I tell her my ideas, and she's like looking at me, and she's like, okay, and how do you want to do that? And I always say to her, I don't know.
It just comes to you.
Find a way to do it.
Do you find it comes to you in the morning?
I want to do this.
Typically, when I wake up, that's when this stuff comes. And it's very clear. I listen to interviews with Paul McCartney because I love him, and he'll say, I'll wake up and the song is in my head, and I write it, and I have to call everybody and say, did I hear this somewhere? Did this just come to me, or did I hear, because he didn't want to steal it from anybody. And I talk to people like Spriglin or Kent Rogerson who talk a lot like you do, but there's that artistry that, I'm sorry, but there's a flood valve that opens up your brain that says this is going to work. And think of your consumer that got that floor. Not only do they know the floor is beautiful, they get to tell that burn my floor story forever. That's a cool story. And sometimes that artistry comes from, you don't know where. You just said it, if there was a war and a home burned and they're doing a rest, you might see something in there that rings a bell. This came to you and you created it, and people can look online and see it. It's absolutely beautiful. And why did you, which came first, that weave that you did or the actual burl root part of it? How did those two come together?
I'm going to explain to you. So basically, the burl came first. So I love the type of floors that and you guys have a lot of them in spades in the USA, which is the medallions. Okay. We don't have them. I don't know if you know this. We don't have medallions in Portugal. I don't remember seeing one medallion in my country. Probably they are out there. I just never saw them. Okay, it's not normal. And the thing is, when it comes to medallions, how can I explain this? It's always a little bit of the same thing. I don't know if I'm coming. The same idea, you know. So
it's very cosmopolitan and kind of sterile.
Or or some kind of star or something, you know. And then you have very intricate stuff like Daniel Antes makes, for instance, beautiful stuff on the CNC. But I wanted something more pure,
this
more
is timeless,
natural.
By the way, Fino. I talk to people and I say, as a flooring person, I see somebody puts a reindeer or a goat or a trout, and I think it's cute. I'd be embarrassed with that in about 3 years. But there are floors like this one. This is timeless. It's like looking at something in the Louvre. You say that's going to be attractive forever. Something like this is a piece of art. It's really pretty.
That is exactly what I feel about it. One of the guys that I follow and that I love his work, and I got to meet him in NOLA, which is Tom Orada. Amazing.
That's what I'm talking about. Tom and his deer. We did a podcast. Same thing. He said, I see a deer in this. Next thing you know, there's a deer on the floor.
Yeah. And it's a bit like when you look at Tom's floor, okay, you never seen that, you see, and you're not going to see that. So when I look at our root, okay, at the root, what I think is that there is nowhere in the world that there is something like that, you know. So this originality, let's say, this difference, for me, it's important, you know, and to be timeless, like you said, that for me is super important. So, I don't want to make something that people are going to grow tired of, you know. And I think we managed to capture my idea, because my idea was to have something very exquisite, like that's why the basket weave, it's in there. And especially a basket weave done with lacewood. I've never seen that before.
That basket weave alone is attractive, really attractive.
Yeah, it's super attractive. It's super cool, super different. But my idea, my vision on it was to have a very, very beautiful and intricate basket weave, okay, very fine, very elegant, let's say, and then to have the rawness of the burl, like if the burl was bursting from the floor.
Sure.
That was what I wanted to capture, and that is why we used the very, very dark epoxy on the sides of the burl. The burl, that project, I can tell you, the only PV I have with that project is that, and this is going to sound so
trivial.
This is going to sound bad, but it's exactly how I feel. I made, it's not a mistake, but I made one thing in that project that I would make different now. The inlay of the burl itself, it was too much well executed. The routing that I did, it shouldn't be, let's say, that good, so perfect, like Susy is saying, because I wanted the root to burst, but never tried to.
It looks intentional and precision, not natural.
Yeah,
like it crushed its way out of the floor. I get you.
Exactly, but I routed everything freehanded. But when I looked at it finished, I was telling to Susy, and Susy was telling to me, it should have been a little worse. Let's say, this is stupid, but it's what I feel. Because we wanted a little bit more epoxy but it turned out beautiful anyway. So
you talk to any artist, any painter, too many brush strokes, or a musician, a good musician will say, I can blindly solo with my guitar, but the artistry is in the silence. Where do I leave that?
Yeah.
Like you're saying, and you talk like an artist. I'm telling you, there's a lot of good floor pros out there, but there are artists out there. Let me switch gears on you, because I have a group of questions that I'd like to ask both you and Susy, so she can shout them out if she knows them. I see her back there.
Yeah.
And by the way, let me just say this. Susy, was it 2023? She got Ultimate Floor Gal. Every year there's a Wood Floor Business Ultimate Floor Guy, Ultimate Floor Gal, and I think she was 2023, right?
It was last year. Yeah.
Not bad for an accountant.
We had so much to talk about with Fino that we're breaking this episode into 2 parts. In the meantime, like Stephen mentioned, if you'd like to see some of the projects they are discussing on this episode, you can go to woodfloorbusiness.com and put Fino Oficio, that's Fino Oficio, into the search bar. While you're on the website, make sure you sign up to get your free subscription to Wood Floor Business and the WFB News. And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to All Things Wood Floor. Thanks for listening.